Thân thiện.
Namo Sakamuni Buddha, Namo Sakamuni Buddha, Namo Sakamuni Buddha.
Okay. Oh, sorry, I need to call Tammy. She may not know. Yeah, let. Yeah. So thank you, William. So you know the nun she like have conversation with you this morning. The nun from Vietnam.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, she like it. All right. So let me share with you the screen first, and I think I need to call Tammy because I forgot to mention about 4 o'clock today. Uh, okay. Yeah. Let's see. Thân Nguyễn, can you listen for me, please?
Yes, Thầy. Living beings undergo constant suffering and anguish, benighted, without teachers or guide, not realizing there is a way to end suffering, not knowing how to seek emancipation. Through the long night, increasingly they follow evil paths, reducing the multitude of heavenly beings. From darkness they enter into darkness, to the end never hearing the Buddha name. But now the Buddha has attained the unexcelled and tranquility of the law of no outflows. We and the heavenly and human beings hereby obtain the greatest benefit. For that reason, all of us bow to our heads, dedicate our life to the one of unexcelled honor.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Yeah. So I think in this part, the Lotus Sutra describes the situation of normal beings who do not know about the Buddha nature and the Buddha name, and therefore their state of mind is always into suffering. But now, since we know about the Buddha and we learn, a human being learn how to prevent this the energy to to outflows to other things, and therefore they are having um, more connection to the heavenly beings, and also to to gain great benefit from attaining the Buddha nature. Yes,
Thank
that's
you.
what I understand today.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Yeah. William, please.
There's a little box that's covering part of the words
I'm sorry.
in the corner. That's okay.
Yeah, go ahead, please. Yeah.
At that time, the 16 princes, having praised the Buddha in these verses, urged the world-honored one to turn the wheel of the law, speaking all together in these words. World-honored one, expound the law. By doing so, you will bring tranquility to and will comfort and benefit heavenly and human beings in large measure. They repeated this request in verse form, saying, World hero without peer, you who adorn yourself with 100 blessings, you have attained unsurpassed wisdom. We beg you to preach for the sake of the world. Save and free us and other kinds of living beings. Draw distinctions, enlighten us, and allow us to attain wisdom. If we can gain Buddhahood, then all living beings can do likewise. World honored one, you know the thoughts that living beings hold deep in their minds. You know the paths they tread, and you know the strength of their wisdom, their pleasures, their blessings they have cultivated, the actions they have carried out in past existences. World honored one, all this you know already. Now you must turn the unsurpassed wheel. Now, I wasn't on the call last week and I have not listened to the recording. So the 16 princes, I don't recall off the top of my head the significance of the 16 princes. But here we see they're requesting the world honored one to preach the law. This is considered a very virtuous action to request for the Dharma. And they are in their request, they're stating their understanding of the world honored one in some ways, and stating their understanding of what the world honored one preaching the law will do as far as freeing them and other kinds of living beings, and how the Buddha understands the actions and the thoughts of living beings and will teach accordingly to what they need.
Yeah, thank you. The 16 princes, they were the son of the Buddha before he left the home life. So he has that 16 sons, and that's why after hearing the Buddha attain enlightenment, so they came to see the teaching from him. Yeah, Miss Thang Như, please.
Yes, Tate. The Buddha announced to the monks, when the Buddha, great universal wisdom excellence, attained Anuttara Samyak Sambodhi, 510,000 million Buddha worlds in each of the 10 directions trembled and shook in 6 different ways. The dark and secluded places within those lands, where the light of the sun and moon is never able to penetrate, were able to see one another. And they all exclaimed, saying, how is it that living beings have suddenly come into existence in this place? Also the palaces of the various heavenly beings in those lands and the Brahma palaces trembled and shook in 6 different ways, and a great light shone everywhere, completely filling the worlds and surpassing the light of the heavens. At that time, in 510,000 million lands in the eastern direction, the Brahma palaces shone with the brilliant light that was twice its ordinary brightness. And the Brahma kings each thought to himself, now the brilliance of the palace is greater than ever in the past. What can be the cause of this phenomenon? So when the Buddha reached enlightenment, non-returning, so irreversible enlightenment, throughout the 10 directions, the worlds that are in each of those directions and in the crevices of the smallest parts of the worlds were shown and were radiated with the enlightenment of the Buddha. So they areas that were never lit before or never was seen, down into the crevices of the lands that were never shown before, they were for the first time shown, and people were wondering, how is it that living beings have come into existence? And they were just questioning that, how are these palaces and how are these places were shown? But it is the representation of when the enlightenment of the Buddha is such an auspicious occasion, and it's so miraculous that phenomenons that are beyond the imagination and that were never in existence before were lit and were highlighted to show what a great occasion that was.
Yes, you. So Thăng Thiền, you know, in Buddhism, the light represent what, you know?
Mô Phật thầy.
You know that?
I've seen, I don't know what is represent, but I've seen it's mentioned throughout the sutra that Buddha emitted the light. Yeah, Mô Phật thầy itself.
Okay, Tuấn Nguyễn, you know, the light could be represent, which, you know.
I actually don't read any book or something, but I thought the light is represent the wisdom.
Yeah.
In Buddhism.
Yeah, that's important. So sometimes, let's say, if we use a flashlight to shine to the cave or any corners, we could see all kind of bugs and so forth. It's like the wisdom the Buddha shine when he speak the Dharma. People could understand his teaching, so they could attain the light. That's like he shine the light even to the Brahman. So that's all. Hi, Tammy. Sorry, Tammy. I forgot to mention about changing the time. Were you here last week?
No, I missed last week. It's all good.
Okay. Yeah. Yes, go.
Okay, I do have a question.
Yes, sorry. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
I know when we started reading the Lotus Sutra, and it said that the light was that was shown, or the light that was emitted from the Buddha was in between his two brows. Then there are other areas where the light is emitted from the crown of his head. And then there are other sutras that I've read where the light is admitted in addition to the crown of his head, on his feet as well. Are there any particular significance into each areas that it is lit? I know you had explained that in the beginning when we started the Lotus Sutra, so I assume that there is a certain significance that because when we started out with the Lotus Sutra, that the light that is emitted in between his brows, it is in the middle of the face, and so it represents the way. Now, is the light emitted from the crown of the head represent a greater significance versus or the light of that is emitted from the feet or any other parts of the body?
Yes. Yeah. If we discuss about that again, in this sutra, right, he emit the light between the eyebrows. This represent the middle path or only one path, the one's vehicle, right? And the light that he emits from the ground represent the ultimate principle of teaching, especially in the Purama Sutras. And this some sutra mentioned that the Buddha emit the light from his mouth. That represent the truthfulness as he go to teach. And like you say, so when he emit the light from the feet, it represent that he spread his teaching to any sentient beings, whether they low or high. So again, wherever he emit the light from his body, it has some significant meanings there.
Thank you, Thầy.
Okay, thank you. All right. Yeah, I'll go to you. You read, please.
Yes.
Oh, sorry, you read already, right? Sorry. Yeah. Tammy, you like to read? Tammy.
At that time, the Brahmins kings visited one another to discuss the matter. Among them was a great Brahmin king named Saved, all who, on behalf of the multiple Brahmas, king spoke these verses, saying, "Our places have a brilliance never known in the past. What is the cause of this? Each of us seeks an answer. It is because of the birth of some heavenly king. Heavenly being of great virtue, or because the Buddha has appeared in this world that this great light shines everywhere in the 10 directions. At that time, the Brahma kings of 500, 10,000 million lands, accompanied by their palaces, each king taking the outer robe and filling it with heavenly flowers, journeyed together to the western to observe the signs there. They saw the great universal wisdom, excellence, thus come one, in the place of practice, seated on a lion seat underneath a Bodhi tree, with heavenly beings, dragon kings, carnivores, Kimnars, Mararogs, human and non-human beings surrounded him and paying reverence. And they saw the 16 princes entreating the Buddha to turn the wheel of the law. I want tea. I want tea. I need tea. 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 I want tea right here. So there were a bunch of kings that gathered, and they saw the Buddha come sitting on the lion underneath the tree, and they saw him turning the wheel of the law. Okay, good. I'm not really sure. I didn't get all of it.
Yeah. So basically, those Brahma kings, right? They saw the sight of this Buddha, and they went out to pay respect to him, and they also saw the system prince walking around the Buddha and request the Buddha to turn the wheel Dhamma investment teaching. Yes, Mr. Thân Tư, please.
Sorry, Thầy, I'm starting at that time.
Yeah, please.
At that time, the Brahmin kings of 510,000 million lands, accompanied by their palaces, each king taking his outer robe and filling it with heavenly flowers, journeyed together to the western region to observe the signs there. They saw the great universal wisdom excellent thus come one in the place of practice, seated on a lion seat underneath a Bodhi tree, with heavenly beings, dragon kings, Gandharva, Kimnaras, Mahoragas, human and non-human beings, surrounding him paying reverence. And they saw the 16 princes entreating the Buddha to turn the wheel of the law. At once, the Brahmin kings touched their heads to the ground and bowed before the Buddha, circled around him 100,000 times, and took heavenly flowers and scattered them over the Buddha. The flowers they scattered piled up in Mount Sumeru. They also offered them as alms to the Buddha's Bodhi tree. This Bodhi tree was 10 yojanas in height. When they had finished offering the flowers, each one took his place and presented it to the Buddha. Speaking this word, "We hope you will bestow comfort and benefit on us. We beg you to accept and occupy their palaces that we represent." So the Brahmin kings of the 510,000 million lands was accompanied to the palace, and the king and each king asking to, I guess that what happened is that they were able to offer they offered the palaces to the Buddha, and then so part of this blessing that they did was that, you know, to honor the Buddha there, they scatter flowers and worship him with different types of flowers, and then they pile up the Buddha tree. They also offer him the Buddha tree, Buddha Bodhi tree, and they also offer him flowers and took the palace and gave it to the Buddha. And they also said that we hope you will. I mean, they hope they offered the Buddha the words that they hope that the comfort that they have given him, that is also going to be benefiting them. And so they begged him to accept what they present to him at the palace.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. This is straightforward, right? Have any question?
No, Tay.
Okay. John, can you read next book, please, John?
Right. At that time, the Brahma kings, in the presence of the Buddha, with a single mind and joined voices, recited these verses of praise. Would honor one very rarely met with one whom it is difficult to encounter. Endowed with measurable blessings, capable of saving everyone, great teachers of heavenly and human beings, you bestow pity and comfort on the world. Living beings in the 10 directions all receive benefit anywhere, everywhere. In the 510,000 million lands from which we come, we have put aside the joy of deep meditation in order to offer alms to the Buddha. Because of our good fortune in previous existence, our palaces are very richly adorned. I present them to the world honored one, begging that he be kind enough to accept them. So what I read was about like so it's about the world honor one, and who is like difficult to encounter. So like by wait. Yeah, I had it.
Okay. So those Brahmin came, right? They got out from their deep meditation to make offerings to the Buddha, and they begged him to accept their palaces. So my question is that, let's say if everyone offer the Buddha their palaces, so what happened if the Buddha accept all? What do you think? What do you think, William? If he accept one, that means he would accept all. And if he doesn't, that means he would not accept anyone. So, but what happened if he accept all? What he used for those palaces? Oh, the mic, please, Guya.
The Buddha definitely does not need them. What would he do with them? I don't know. Maybe if he did accept them, maybe he would use them to help living beings. But the tricky thing is if they're in the heavens, so the people in the heavens, they don't really need anything other than the Dharma. So I don't, yeah, I mean, in the palaces, aren't they, they're also expressions of the karma and consciousness of the beings. So it seems more symbolic that the beings are offering them, that they're willing to surrender all of those things for the Dharma. But I wouldn't know how the Buddha would even go about like taking possession of them.
No way, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Hi, and Jimmy. Yeah.
Dạ, mô Phật cho thầy ạ.
Yeah. Can you read the next one, please, and Jimmy?
Dạ, mô Phật. At the time when the Brahma kings had finished praising the Buddha in verse, they each other spoke these words. We beg the world honor one to turn the wheel of the law, save living beings, and open up the way to Nirvana. Then the Brahma kings, with a single mind and joined voices, spoke in verse form, saying, World hero, most honored of two-legged beings, we beg you to expound the law. Through the power of your great mercy and compassion, save living beings in their suffering and anguish. At the time, the great universal wisdom, excellence, thirst, come one silently agreed to do so. Now, monks in 510,000 million lands in the southeast, the Brahma kings each observed that his palace was shining with a brilliant light such as had never been known in the past. Dancing for joy, entering a frame of mind seldom experienced, then they went about visiting one another and discussing these things together. Yeah, mô Phật thầy.
Can you summarize, please?
Oh yeah, mô Phật. How I would understand that the Brahma King want every human beings on earth to be compassionate and stop hurt other beings, including animals. And then he asking other monks and 510,000 million lands in the southeast would be do the same. Try to be kind of compassionate and nice to each other. Not consuming there.
Thank you. Actually, these Brahmins pray to the Buddha to turn down the wheel. That's been to teach, and they praise the Buddha as a compassionate one, the one that saved all living beings. So they just made that request so that the Buddha could teach them to attain enlightenment, or to know the path to nirvana. So they have great choice when and they saw the Buddhas, and they went to visit each other and talk about that, talk about how they request the Buddha to give the teaching. Thầy Giác Pháp, please.
At that time, there were amongst the assembly of great Brahma king named Great Compassion, who on behalf of the multitude of Brahma king spoke in verse from saying, what cause in operation that set aside should be manifest. Our pilots display a brilliant never known before. Is it because the birth of some heavenly king, heavenly being of great virtue, or because the Buddha have appeared in the world? We have never seen such a sign, and with a single mind, we seek the reason. Though we must travel 1,000, 10,000 million land together, we will search the cause of this life. Likely it's because the Buddha have appeared in this world to save living beings in their suffering. Yeah. So basically, in here, the first one relates to the Raman King multitude in the west, and now this is in the east, and they also noticed that all their pilots that have the really like it never before, right? It's never before, and they said that, what is the cause for this? Maybe there is the birth of some heavenly being of great virtue, or because Buddha. And you know what? They go out and they search for the reason, and they have to travel 1,000 or 10,000 million land together, so they can search for this light. And they said that maybe the Buddha appeared in the world to save living beings. And basically, in here, it's, before the Buddha sit under the Bodhi tree, right? In the heaven being, the multitude of the heaven being reduced so much, that means the heaven being is represent for the good deed. And that means when the good ram reduced, that means the evil ram increased. That therefore, and why when they see the light so side on their palette, it means that so it's for a long time they haven't seen this. Now, due to this, they will gain benefit from it. So all the living beings will gain benefit from it. That is about the teaching.
Thank you. I have a question. So we know that before anything happened, we would see some kind of indications, like before the storm, we see the winds, the big winds. Uh, uh, when before the hurricane again, we would recognize big winds, or even before the tsunami, right? I don't know whether you remember tsunami in Sri Lanka, in Thailand. I don't know whether you watched that video yet. So before the tsunami happened, the water would draw from the beach, right? You remember that? So many people they say, "Oh wow, it's beautiful, wonderful," but yes, they don't. It has tsunami. So my uh, mm, question is that like the Buddha before he appeared on the world, right? I mean, second Buddha. So his mother saw the first elephant entering to his mom. His mother wings, and on the right side, good indication that that's when Buddha appeared on the world. But my question is that how about in our human realm, I mean that among people, um, do you recognize some indication that you would have a intelligent, handsome boys, or beautiful girls, or a virtual child? Do you recognize us, William? What do you think? Some kind of indication before the woman, the mother, give birth to that special child. You recognize that or no?
I'm not aware of any signs that we agree upon in the West that signify that the child is going to be special. I've never thought about it, other than perhaps a dream, which would be suggestive. But even if someone came to me and said they had a dream and then they had their child, I would still have a little bit of doubt about whether the dream was meaningful or not, but I wouldn't deny that it was meaningful. So no, I can't say that I am aware of any, like, I don't typically think about it or look for those signs.
Yeah. How about Miss Thân Từ? What do you think? You recognize us or not much?
Sorry, Tay, what do you mean recognize?
I mean that before you give birth to, let's say, your daughters, did you recognize any signs, any special signs?
No, Tay. Are you saying that before I became pregnant or during the time that I was pregnant?
Any times before, before pregnancy, or during pregnancy, or even after you got birth to her, any special sign that you could recognize?
You know what? I didn't have her for 9 years. I feel like she's a miracle baby, and I think my sign was this day was someone told me to go. I think it was close to New Year. They told me to go to 17 different temples, and they told me to pick Phật Quang Thế Âm. So that if you see one, the great compassion. How do you say that in Vietnamese, English? Thầy Phật Quang Thế Âm. I forgot now.
Yeah, the compassion Buddhist.
Yes. So they just said that when you go to any one of those temples, pick a statue and bring it home. So I think that was in February or March, and so that was my sign of miracle to me. So I became pregnant like 2 or 3 months after that.
Really, that's nice. Yeah. How about Miss Thân Như? What do you think?
I didn't have any prophetic dreams. I just dreamt that I had a girl, but then I ended up having 2 boys. So, but my mother-in-law, she's Korean. So they believe in the dreams a lot. Yeah. So she always says, oh, this is a good dream, or this is a boy dream, or this is a girl dream. So I know maybe people of the previous generation, the older generation, they do believe in dreams and signs and things like that. The only thing that I would know is, I know when there's natural disasters, you look at the movements and signs of the animals. They will predict it first. So they also know that if there's an impending earthquake, or if there's a storm or something, that, let's say back in the olden days, when people are traveling by ships, if they see the rats jumping off the ship, they know there's going to be an impending doom, because they know that the animals, with their instincts, their senses, they seem to know, danger that will occur ahead of time. So that part, I know the animals have their instincts are pretty sharp. But in terms of myself, when it came to my children, I didn't have anything that I would consider. I didn't know I was going to be able to have children. So maybe something in our gene line, both my sister and I have a little bit of a hard time having children, but so I just felt blessed that I was able to have children. That's all. So I didn't even I didn't care if it's boys or girls. And I just wanted to make sure that they were healthy because I work with kids and I see there's what possibilities that can go wrong in having children with defects and with syndromes. And so I was just happy to if they were healthy. I didn't particularly, care if it's boy or girls. But on the Korean side, they were very happy to have boys.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah. So again, like the ants, right? Before the storm, before the flood, right? They move around. So yeah, they're more sensitive than us. So about Tammy, before, during, or after giving birth to these two children, do you have any signs for them?
So before they were born, I knew both their genders. I was able to guess both their genders. And then my son was born on a blue moon. And then my daughter, she was born the day after Mother's Day, which she wanted to come Mother's Day, but I made it till the day after because I didn't want the staff at the hospital to be working on Mother's Day. So, but it was like the day before the dark of the moon. And then with my son, when he started talking, he came with a remembrance. So that was really cool. I could tell, that I really needed, and with both of them, they really helped me change my life for the better. So being more prepared to help them as they get grow.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Let me talk briefly. Let's say, of course, this is the belief too that if the mother give birth to a child normally and successfully, without any problems, so that's a good indication that that child would behave well later on. And if somehow they have hard time to give birth to any child, that is probably the indication that that child may give hard time for the parents later on. But that's again, that's the belief. Yeah. So how about Thông Nguyễn? What do you think?
Yeah, A Di Đà Phật, thưa thầy, I don't have child yet, or maybe I will not have, but for me, I always get information through dream before it will come to me in reality. So yeah, I think the Lotus Sutra teach about before the Buddha was born, his mom had a good sign from the heavenly beings that could be the truth.
Yeah. And also in the Surma Sutra, the Buddha said that if within the communities, the people who live in that area are wholesome people, that means they do good deeds, they would see all kind of good uh, indications, good signs, and vice versa. If people raise some kind of bad karma and they live together, they would attract, you can say that, all kind of problems, nature disasters, and so forth, because of their karmas. And so again, as human, we live our life based on our own karmas, and of course, this will affect to other people through our collective karmas. Like last time when we have a big snowstorm in Houston, with so many people, they have problems with the coldness, broken pipes, even some of them they lost their family members, especially the elderly one people. They could not handle the call that came to them in big surprise. Okay. Okay, let's just move on then. Yeah, let's see here. Yeah, go ahead, William. Could you read this?
At that time, the 510,000 million Brahma kings, accompanied by their palaces, each king taking his outer robe and filling it with heavenly flowers, journeyed together to the northwestern region to observe the signs there. They saw the great universal wisdom excellence thus come one in the palace of practice, seated on a lion beneath a Bodhi tree, with heavenly beings, dragons, kings, Gandharvas, Kimnaras, Mahoragas, humans and non-human beings, surrounding him and paying reverence. And they saw the 16 princes entreating the Buddha to turn the wheel of the law. At once the Brahma kings touched their heads to the ground and bowed before the Buddha, circled him 1,000 times, 100,000 times, and then took the heavenly flowers and scattered them over the Buddha. The flowers they scattered piled up like Mount Sumeru. They also offered them as alms to the Buddha's Bodhi tree. When they had finished offering the flowers, each one took his palace and presented it to the Buddha, speaking these words: "We hope you will bestow comfort and benefit on us. We beg you to accept and occupy these palaces that we present." So this is very similar to the previous passage where the Brahma kings from a different direction came to the Buddha. It's almost word for word. The only difference I noticed was that they didn't say that the Bodhi tree was so many yohanas tall in this one, but otherwise, and then they didn't this where they're specifically saying they're offering the palaces. So here they saw the light, they're wondering what's going on, they're looking for the sign of the light, and they journey to its source, and they find the Buddha there, and they see all the beings gathered around the Buddha, and they make the offerings of the flowers and then of their palaces as well, as a sign of respect. And also it kind of signifies there that the Brahma kings are seeing clearly, because if someone's mind is clear and they see the Buddha, my understanding is that's the sort of response that is invoked, one of reverence and of offerings and giving.
Yeah, thank you. Let me see. Just be with me. I like to share with you this short video clips. Okay, here. And I think Thông Nguyễn, you were at Bodhi Gaya before, right?
Yes, I was 4 times.
Yeah, this one, let me play for you. Buddham saranam gacchami. It's about 7 minutes. Let me skip this so you can see.
It's a wonderful thing. You see, they're designed for rhyming speech. They're actually designed to be recited. And the Tipitaka was only written down in the 1st century. So for 400 or 500 years, it was chanted all the time. And here in Bodh Gaya, there was a Sri Lankan vihara, which is a little bit behind us, about 30 or 40 yards behind us.
By heart. 3 Tripitaka Dharas had come to Bodh Gaya for the 8th international chanting of the sacred texts. The morals taught here and encourage all others to follow them too. All objects.
Buddhism from India, that is way back in 3rd century BC.
Okay, I'd just like to share with you briefly. You have not been in Bodh Gaya before, like William?
No.
Actually, last year we made the plan to go to India, but because of the COVID-19, so we stopped.
Oh,
I've been in India 1998, 1999 before I came back to California. Yeah, it's really wonderful. So Miss Thang Tu, Miss Thang, you have not been there, right?
No, Thầy, I hope that someday I can go. I think it will be amazing.
Yeah.
No, Thay, we have not yet been blessed enough to go. I feel like everything, there is a timing and a proper blessing, and we have not yet reached that point.
Yeah, and actually, in the Nirvana Sutras, the Buddha advised us that at least once in our lifetime, it's better for us to visit his four holy places. The place where he was born, Lumbini. Thân Nguyễn, you remember? Can you tell them the four Buddhist places?
Yeah, in Vietnamese that is tứ động tâm thưa thầy. It was Lumbini, where the Buddha was born, in Nepal, and also in Varanasi is where the Buddha entered Nirvana.
No, that's not. No.
Not what
About
is it?
where did the Buddha attain enlightenment?
Yeah, the Bodh Gaya is the enlightenment.
Okay. Varanasi is where he first gave the teaching, the Four Noble Truths.
Yeah, and I remember where the Buddha entered Nirvana is it's also close to Kusinaga. Yeah, and that's 2, 3, 4, and is that in Khổ Hạnh Lam Mountains? I don't know that name in English, but
the place where Buddha practice ascetic practice, self-torture. Yeah. So you been at all of those holy places?
Yes, I was so blessed in when I did an internship in India. So it was 10 years ago that I have the first chance to visit those 4 places, and in every place I feel there are mirrors there. A lot of people, also including myself, after the travel to these places, I feel that my life has been changed significantly in spiritual growth, and also during the meditation as well. Also, even today when I have some difficulties in my working life, and I calm myself and think about the Bogaya under the Bodhi tree, then I still can feel the calm, balanced energy from there. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So you still feel that energy, right? Strong energy, right?
Yes, and also one of my very lucky that I remember in 2012 I was back there. Every summer I spend 4 weeks in Bulgaria, and I bring a book where I pray for reciting the Buddha name and then doing praying, and then I wish to the Buddha and all the Bodhisattva that one day I could bring my mom there. So in 2018, I managed to fly back to Vietnam, and I took my mom together with me to Thailand and to India. So now my mom also have been there now twice. One time together with me in 2018, and last year with a group of Buddhists from Da Nang. They took a flight directly from Da Nang city to Bodh only 3 hours.
Wow, that's very good. And according to the Nirvana Sutra, hopefully later on we can study. The Buddha said that even he entered Nirvana, but at his 4 holy places, the Arhat, the holy monks, is still there, but we could not see them in person unless we have some kind of affinity, unless we have some kind of spiritual attainment. We could recognize them, although we could not with our flesh eye. But
well, so for me, I remember the first time I was there during the trip, I have some accident with my lens, so I could not hardly see anything. However, when those people were helping me enter the Bodhi tree area, I could feel the light there. So I followed this light, and yeah, with my own physical eyes, I could not see anything. But when there was a Buddhist, Indian Buddhist in the tour, they were helping me when enter only the Bodhi tree area. Only from that point I can move to different places with feeling the light from above, from the Bodhi tree itself. It's really hard for me to explain this to anyone because I'm sure 10 years ago when I talk about this, people are gonna think, oh, maybe Tang is a little bit crazy, but I am not. And also, even when I come back in 2012, I have experience during my meditations in the place where they have the statue of the Buddha there. I could meditate. At one point, I went so deep in meditations that I thought I feel the particles. I feel my body like a vibration of particles. So I did not know how long I was sitting there, but when I woke up, because people told me it's time to close the temple, now you have to go home. Otherwise, I did not know how long I was sitting in meditation there. So normally I would not share this experience, but yeah, today when you show this video, I think in the blessing of the Buddha, I will share this experience because I do encourage anyone in our class now, if we have chance to go there, please take that chance in this lifetime because it's really incredible experience. Yeah,
what happened with your eyes before before you enter that parameters, the Buddhi tree parameter? What happened?
The thing is, 10 years ago, I used to have a contact lens, the soft contact lens. So actually, we need to, when we wear this contact lens, we need to clean it every day. However, when I travel with a group of Buddhists, so there were 3 different buses we followed together. There was, I think, more than 100 Buddhists from Australia, from Vietnam, from America, from Germany, so all over the world we collect in India. So at that time, I actually need to clean my lens. However, my luggage is under the buses. So I was like, okay, if I now asking them to stop for me taking these cleaning stuff out, then one bus stop, it means other bus also need to stop. So I was like, okay, in India, there is a lot of stuff outside. So when I saw people get out for a break time, I also get out, but somehow some dust enter my eyes. So there was infections between my eyes and the lens. And lucky for me that at that time there was a monk from Australia. So when I remember there was a Minh Tam from Australia. I don't remember his name, but he also have a doctor from Australia follow him in his trip to support him. Luckily, when I announced that I have some infection in my eye, so some doctor helped me, give me some drop to clean the eyes. However, it was a really huge infections. So therefore, when we arrived to Bodh Gaya, I could hardly see anything. And in the end, when the flight, I fly back to Madras, the city where I did internship. There was luckily one Buddhist. He helped me with put my name to travel with wheelchair service.
So you got better after that, or what?
Yes, I when I come back to the city where I did internship, I recite compassion mantra every day. I think more than 100 times a day, because I hear after I hear from my German classmates when I visit them in Germany back 1 year later. She told me that the doctor in India actually will gave up because the virus will already enter the eyes. So he was hoping that the virus will not enter further, otherwise it will eat the other cells of my eye as well. So yeah, I was lucky that I can see everything now again as a normal person, but it was a really quite experience, because I did not able to finish my study, even to graduate, even to have a normal life. So I have experience of being a blind person on a wheelchair at that time. However, when I was in that area where the temple had the Bodhi tree, I could feel the light from above, from the tree itself. It guided me to which corner, so that I will not harm other, or I think we could not see the arahats with our physical eyes. However, there are people who could feel them there.
Oh, so the Buddha bless you, right?
Yes, I after that I still write a book, a small booklet for myself, to remind myself about all of this experience. And from this, therefore, I always wish that I have back to my normal life again. I will, yeah. I turn into another person because I have this experience, and therefore everything I see now, or everything I work now every day, I feel I'm very blessed, because I would be a blind person 10 years ago.
Wow, that's wonderful story.
Yes, maybe it's too long, but this is the real story today.
That's great. That's wonderful story then. Okay, yeah. Until you go there, you could recognize the power, the blessing power of the Buddha's Bodhisattva and art. Otherwise, it's not easy to feel. Right, William?
I think so. I've never been. I don't know. I've never been.
Okay. Any question? Any comment about her story, Miss Thân Như, Miss Thân Tư? Anything else?
Yeah. You know. Go ahead.
Thank you for sharing. That's a fabulous story, and it's so inspirational, and it really motivates us, or me anyways, to put it on my bucket list, to be able to go to Bodh Gaya one day. So yes, thank you for sharing that. I know, as you said, it's not something that you disclose, freely. So I appreciate you sharing that to us in this forum.
Thank you. You're welcome. I am blessed to share my story here.
Yeah, Miss Thân Tư, you'd like to say anything?
Oh, no, yes. I know that when we took class many years ago, you did tell us that you went, but you didn't tell us about this story. So it's amazing that, you have gone through all that, the excitement, and then having to go through that suffering. and be able to be where you're at right now. So it's a blessing. So thank you for sharing.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, 10 years ago, I could not share the story because I was still on the way to learn and to how to I can transfer cultivate myself into spiritual path. I did struggling a lot at that time. When I back to a normal Western life, here it's quite hard for me. Yeah, to actually it was a time when I was after this experience. It was a time that I actually don't want to have a lay person life. But I do have my responsibility to my family, and also on the other hand, I had such a good chance to have study here. It was 20 years ago. Like not everyone had this chance, so it was for me. It's a responsibility to yeah to still outside outside the temple, I would say. But yeah, when I actually every day when I wake up and I think about what I went through, it's really a blessing for me to have this life now every day. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Tammy, you have a question, or what do you think about this story?
I think it's a beautiful story, and thanks for sharing. And maybe it was a blessing. It sounds like it was a blessing in disguise, really, because if that hadn't happened to you, then maybe you wouldn't have been able to see and sense with your other sense organs as well when your sight was gone. It's really cool.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, let us conclude today. Thank you. This wonderful story that inspiring story, Thương Nguyện. She didn't tell me before too. She told me briefly about the problem, but she didn't tell me detailed story like this. But again, this is wonderful. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, Thân Thiên. Yeah, we conclude today.
Yeah. Namo Sakamuni Buddha, Namo Sakamuni Buddha, Namo Sakamuni Buddha.
Thank you. Thank you. It was,
Thank you.